Are you ready for some smart, plain talk on politics, Israel, and the law? It's the Andrew Parker Show. Let's roll. Welcome to the Andrew Parker Show, episode 417. Thank you once again for joining us on the show, and just to wet your whistle a bit for some of the upcoming shows that you will be able to download, you will be able to listen to at your leisure. We will be having Congressman Jim Sensenbrenner on the show, the oldest at the time of his retirement, the longest serving Republican in the entire House of Representatives. And Jim, a good friend from the state of Wisconsin, who rose certainly through the ranks in Congress to become one of the leaders of the House of Representatives, and a stalwart on holding the line on spending and making sure that our government worked for all the people, those that the government should be answering to. So we'll have Jim Sensenbrenner on the show. Paul Anderson, one-time chief of staff to Governor Tim Pawlenty, will be returning to the show. We're going to talk about Israel. He is a staunch supporter of the Jewish state of Israel, as he has been there, I believe, a few times. And is another good friend of the show. In addition, soon we will have political raconteur Shane Hashey back to the Andrew Parker Show. And always interesting discussion and debate with Shane. Norm Coleman will be on the show not too long. Invitations have been out for some time to Amy Klobuchar and Tina Smith. Both would be returning guests, as they've been on the show before, but of late, no response. Crickets. I don't know that they want to talk about their votes related to Israel. I don't know if they want to defend their position as it relates to the state of Israel, the single and only Jewish state in the world, and their votes and positions that appears to reward terrorism, appears to want to pressure the state of Israel when it is defending its very existence. The U.S. Senate is starting to buckle, even though it's immoral. The position that Western Europe is taking, even though it is immoral, the position that the Democratic Party has been taking, siding with the murderers, the terrorists, those who committed atrocities on October 7th, equivalent to the Nazi atrocities of World War II, on a much smaller scale, of course, but heinous nonetheless. And taking those sorts of positions that they cannot walk away from, I'd like to have, as we've always had with Amy Klobuchar and Tina Smith on the show and otherwise, civil discussion, debate, discourse with them. They know they will always get that here, but they do not want to come on the show, apparently. But I will continue asking. Same for the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Fry, who was on the show and I believe helped him get elected when he was running against or as a part of a 7-person race for mayor when Fry won and was initially elected mayor of Minneapolis. He came on the show. The other 6 candidates did not. I view that as a 1-to-1 correlation between coming on the show and winning an election that he wasn't, frankly, favored to win against these many other candidates. Since that time, he has not come on the show, viewing it as maybe the death knell for him within the DFL here in Minneapolis, which is about as left-wing as any city electorate in the country. So we'll keep trying to get Jacob Fry on. I would like to ask him about the city of Minneapolis, and frankly, that is the topic I would like to talk about on this episode 417. I first want to say that not just our condolences, but our heartfelt embrace of the families, in all respects, of the families of those injured in the recent shooting at the Annunciation Church in Minneapolis. It was horrific. 2 died, another in critical condition as of this airing, and several others injured during the shooting. It is terrible. Nothing less can be said. Carried out apparently by this single individual who everybody is talking about as being a trans person. And it's very sad on many different fronts. One of the things that I think about often, not just in this case, but in many, many of the others that have occurred, whether you call them mass shootings or other sorts of murders, even those that occurred on October 7th, or the killing of the 899 IDF soldiers, kids, who are required to serve their country in order to save and protect their country from annihilation, which the neighbors of the state of Israel seek. Those are deaths as well. And the deaths of civilians in Gaza, deaths as well. And in each of these situations that I've been talking about, it is someone taking someone else's life, not in self-defense or any other potentially moral position, but actually murdering them. Sometimes intentionally and sometimes far from intentionally, but occurring nonetheless. And all of the factors that go into looking at what occurred in a particular death where one person is taking the life of another affects the moral discussion around the event. I find it interesting, though, that here in the U.S. we have national coverage, as frankly maybe there should be, for sure, of such an atrocity as occurred here in the city of Minneapolis. But there is not national coverage when there is a shooting of a black youth, a black child in the city of Chicago. Might be a drive-by shooting. It might be a scuffle ending in a shooting and the murder of a 14-year-old or an 8-year-old. But you don't hear about that. That doesn't get national coverage. Maybe it's because they weren't sitting praying in a church like occurred at Annunciation. Maybe it's because they weren't sitting studying in school. But oftentimes in these cases, they are sitting in their living room playing and you get a stray bullet, or they're in the front yard doing the same. It's a drive-by shooting. Or they're simply out with friends and there's a scuffle ending in a shooting. I just often wonder, what is the measure or weight of one's particular life versus another? And looking at the different circumstances might cause one incident to be covered national news and the other never to be covered locally, nationally, or otherwise. It's often been written and talked about and reported that black on black shootings, murder, death is the highest by percentage. And that isn't the point that I'm making. What I am wondering is, what about those black kids that are killed? And shouldn't there be more coverage for that? There certainly is when it's a white person that kills a black person, and particularly if they are a police officer. We have seen that extensively. Whether that was in self-defense or intentional or otherwise, oftentimes there's been huge outcry and national coverage of such incidents even before they've been adjudicated. And in fact, once adjudicated, it is determined that there was not improper conduct by the one person who took the life of the other. So it has always struck me that there should be more coverage of the criminality, the crimes that are committed. And there should also be more deterrence. Donald Trump is starting to put that out there, and some, even on the Democrat side, are starting to pick it up and run with it. Mayor Bowser is acknowledging that crime is down with the heavy hand of the government bringing back deterrence, open, visible deterrence, more police officers, and if necessary, military. Why? Because it has been far too long, I would argue, at least back to the beginning of the Obama administration, where law and order has taken a back seat, where law enforcement has been assailed and attacked, where our judicial system has been a revolving door, and sometimes in less than an hour, somebody is back out on the street. No deterrence whatsoever. Society has made the statement in many respects that you can cross the line in terms of the moral values of our society that are established in the criminal code. Thou shalt not do these things. You can cross that line and know that you will not have any consequence. When that happens, that line is crossed time and time again by those who might not otherwise cross it if there were consequences. Now, for sure, there are evil people that are going to cross the line no matter what the consequence is. But there are many, many, many more who deterrence can have a real impact. And that is the purpose of our criminal code. Hopefully, not to have to punish people because they won't do it in the first instance. But if they do, there will be swift justice. And that is not in order to take advantage of people, to take out some anger or attitude that society has against people. That is to create a society, a community that is safe for us all to live in and feel safe in. And again, that comes from properly supported law enforcement by those in society who are law-abiding and who are there to be protected and should be protected and expect protection and safe communities. We need to have law enforcement that has our support, both in terms of the numbers so they can do their job well, and in terms of the pay, and in terms of risk avoidance, all of that. But beyond that, we need to have prosecutors and a judicial system that metes out serious and real consequences for conduct. This is my opinion. This is, it's been undermined over the last many years by prosecutors who take an entirely different approach, and one that has caused our crime rates to skyrocket. And it has created a feeling in our communities of a lack of safety. And now, a word from our sponsors. A record of success second to none. Parker Daniels Keyboard Law Firm, the numbers tell the story. The last 5 cases our lawyers have brought to trial have resulted in million and multi-million-dollar verdicts for our plaintiff clients and 0 defense verdicts for our defense clients. Put simply, we try cases and we win cases. Hi, I'm Andrew Parker. At Parker Daniels Keyboard, we take our work personally and we go the extra mile. That is why some of the biggest law firms, locally and nationally, send cases to us to handle when they can't. If you have a challenging and critically important business or personal legal dispute that must be favorably resolved, whether regarding a contract matter, a business divorce, a real estate dispute, an employment dispute, a civil rights or defamation matter, plain talk, if it's a big deal, contact us at Parker Daniels Keyboard. Wise counsel, winning results. Go to parkerdk.com. Looking to reduce your tax liability and grow your portfolio? Consider Texas-based Texacoma Resources. They have been delivering results for over 40 years in energy investments. Investors may benefit with strategic advantages like depreciation, depletion, and drilling, but should consult their tax advisors for their specific situation. In addition, those who invest in August will receive a 5% investment bonus. Don't wait. Call True North Investment at 612-968-3442 to learn more. That's True North Investment, 612-968-3442. Texacoma Energy that works for you. Yes, these prosecutors are elected locally. And there was a concerted effort, a conscious decision and effort by some on the far left, in particular very wealthy people on the far left, to pour money into these little campaigns, little relatively speaking, of prosecutors in different cities. Nobody ever used to pay attention to those, just like they didn't pay attention to the school board elections. Well, now people are starting to pay attention as their kids are being taken into these schools of indoctrination. That's for another episode, but it's a very important issue, maybe the most important of all. We are going to be talking about what our kids are learning, this alternative reality that they're learning. But back to the issue of our judicial system, if prosecutors are elected who do not believe in the rule of law or in the criminal code, and therefore don't charge felonies or misdemeanors in certain situations or at a certain level, anything below we're not charging, it's counter to their job. It's counter to what the people elected representatives to establish a criminal code that they expect to be followed. It is taking it out of the hands of those who elected the people. Now, you would say, yes, but the people elected the prosecutor, and presumably the prosecutor told them what they were going to do, and the people wanted that. Maybe so. In certain instances, maybe so. But I would say then you got to change the criminal code. You can't just, like in the issue of immigration, we've got immigration laws on the books, and it was decided by administration upon administration, we're not going to follow those laws. We're going to bypass the democratic process that would require you to rewrite the laws because Congress can't get its act together to do that, and we're simply going to ignore the laws, even though those laws were put on the books through a democratic process, through the voice of the people. And if you want to change those laws, you put somebody in there who can change it. And until that time, you enforce the laws on the books. So, with respect to the criminal code, it's hardly different. Go change the criminal code if you don't want to enforce the criminal code. Don't make it up as you go along. And by the way, you undermine the confidence of the people because it's a revolving door and nobody cares about the victim. The victim is crying, I just lost my 5-year-old. And, you gave the murderer 1 year. My daughter was just raped, and you give the rapist 1 year. And there are judges on the bench that are doing the same thing. That's a little bit of a different issue, the judges. But when we're talking about a justice system, by the way, before we go on, and what about cashless bail? You have somebody that's been arrested, so it's probable cause, and information is gathered. They're being held. They committed allegedly a heinous act, and they're let out on cashless bail. Maybe never to be seen again. And if they are, why should they be? They could be dangerous to the next person walking down the street. I just don't remember during the first few decades of my life, I don't remember seeing video upon video of elderly or otherwise walking down the street and getting pummeled from behind out of the blue. For giggles, no other reason. I mean, it wasn't, oftentimes, this is not, a mugging or for money or And that is what is going to happen in communities where the system, starting with law enforcement, which is undermined, and moving on up to prosecutors and cashless bail programs, who are not going to have a consequence for the individual. It is not what a civilized society should be grounded on. Not a good foundation, in my judgment. It's my opinion. If you have a different opinion, you can text us at 952-522-2818. 952-522-2818. And, go to theandrewparkershow.com. It's our website, theandrewparkershow.com. You gotta make sure you type in the. It's all one word, theandrewparkershow.com. You can sign up for our email to be added to our list, and you'll get updates on upcoming guests, special content, exclusive insights that you won't find anywhere else. Yes, indeed. You can fill out the contact form where you can give us an idea for a show topic or a guest that we should have on. We've had a number of very interesting guests of late, and those will certainly continue. I forgot to mention, we are having from the Jewish News Service the CEO, live from the state of Israel, Alex Trayman, will be joining us on the show in just a couple of weeks. And I'm looking forward to that, as he is right in the midst and daily is digging information up and out of the state of Israel, both political, the Gaza war, the relations with other surrounding Arab countries, the peace accords and talks of ceasefire and negotiation as well. All of that. Alex Trayman will be on the show. In addition to texting us, and I gave you the number 952-522-2818, you can listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. Apple Podcasts, that happens to be the easy one for me. You just go to that little icon, click on it, you put my name in, boom. There you go. And you're off and running with one of many, well over 400 podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Cast, Overcast, Everycast. You can get them on your favorite. Engage on social media. Always enjoyable. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I don't know. You find me quite a bit on LinkedIn, but we engage on all of those social media sites, and make sure, I think most importantly, to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have been recording now for several weeks. We are going to be going live, hopefully not too distant future. And we look forward to you joining us live. We have had some communications regarding some of the recent shows I want to share with you as we go to the mailbag and pull out a bit of mail, email in this case. We have a couple of them. First, from Dennis. Dennis is writing about episode 414 and says that, Parker, your forceful breakdown of Israel's fight for survival in episode 414 was compelling. I appreciated how you detailed the media's distortion and the ways segments of the Democratic Party have, knowingly or not, contributed to a climate that rewards terror with promises of Palestinian statehood. Framing the situation with reference to failed peace offers and UN history brought a clarity that is so often missing from these conversations. And I appreciate that very much, Dennis. Good insights from you. On the other side of the scale, we have an email from Aaron. And Aaron is commenting on episode 411, which was entitled, "What Do We Do with the Morally Bankrupt?" Question mark. Episode 411, Aaron says, you have to start asking more difficult questions, Parker. That might have been a more complex and difficult question 50 or 60 years ago. What do we do with the morally bankrupt? But these days, we elect him president of the United States. Let me be clear. He is not immoral. He is amoral. He does not measure anything based on its morality. That might involve self-imposed limits. He decides what to do based solely on what is best for him or what he wants. Well, that's a view. That's a viewpoint, and it is a viewpoint based on an extreme dislike for, it appears, the character of the President of the United States. Now, when you listen to our next episode, you will hear me comment, in my opinion, whether you agree with the president or not, his policies or not. I am going to comment on his presidency thus far. And I think the title of the next episode will be something like, "Boy, Does He Have Guts." And I don't know that anyone can dispute that. I'm sure they would try. Of course, those with the TDS issue of hating Trump no matter if he cured cancer will say, no, he doesn't have guts. In fact, he's a coward. He's a yellow belly coward and nothing short of it. These actions and policies that he has pressed are nothing more than a cowardice bully. Then we have to debate those. But I'm going to outline what I believe, agree with it or not, whether it has worked or not, and we'll have arguments about the facts related to that, that for this president to have done a number of these things, no other president would do. Now, some on the left may say, yeah, there's a reason no one else would do it, because it's insane. Of course, so, they're going to say that, and we can have a debate about that. But whether you agree with the policy or not, I would argue that it is certainly gutsy, is the word, that comes to mind. We'll talk about that on our next episode. That is just a couple of emails from our mailbag to you. And once again, go to the andrewparkershow.com, visit our YouTube channel as well, and subscribe, follow, and like. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Andrew Parker Show. And until next time, be kind to your neighbor. For more Smart Plain Talk, go to theandrewparkershow.com. Learn about all of your listening and viewing options. And remember, all the great things are simple, and many can be expressed in a single word: freedom, justice, honor, duty, mercy, hope. This episode of The Andrew Parker Show is sponsored by Parker Daniels Keyboard and True North Private Investments.
Did your employer make you sign a promissory note when joining the company, and now you want to leave, but you're afraid your firm will pursue you personally for that debt? This is Jesse Keyboard from the law firm Parker Daniels Keyboard. I recently represented a client who had signed such a note, and I was able to get them out of their $500,000 debt to their company, which allowed them the freedom to exit a bad employment situation and enter a much better one. Meeting our clients' objectives is our focus at Parker Daniels Keyboard, and in this regard, we win. Our experienced trial team of lawyers at Parker Daniels Keyboard have secured major victories in state and federal courts across the country and through arbitration. We have the legal expertise in all types of business disputes, labor and employment matters, real estate matters, shareholder disputes, financial transactions, security issues, and appeals. For wise counsel, winning results, contact us at Parker Daniels Keyboard, a premier litigation law firm that provides efficient, aggressive, and innovative solutions to complex legal problems. Wise counsel, winning results. Go to parkerdk.com.
Looking to reduce your tax liability and grow your portfolio? Consider Texas-based Texacoma Resources. They have been delivering results for over 40 years in energy investments. Investors may benefit with strategic advantages like depreciation, depletion, and drilling, but should consult their tax advisors for their specific situation. In addition, those who invest in August will receive a 5% investment bonus. Don't wait. Call True North Investment at 612-968-3442 to learn more. That's True North Investment, 612-968-3442. Texacoma Energy that works for you.